Yeah, it does. It goes lower to allow the talker to talk. Hello, welcome, everyone. Chris, good to see you. Josh, Toriano, everyone popping in. Early birds, thank you so much. Hey, good to see you. Thank you. Everyone popping in already. We are in the preview pane here. We got just a quick hour, which I love. I love these quick LMAs. They are just a hard-hitting, fast session to jump into a topic, and we've got a great crew tonight. You're going to like the topic and like the crew. I am joined tonight by the ever-mysterious Tim, who is going to be, of course, the principal villain on tonight's show. I also have Chandler, Mr. Grantler. You know him as Markov. Also, Mr. Grantler, who tried to put golf on my Discord channel in the last couple of days, much to my dismay. But I still allow him on my channel. And then, of course, Robert. You know him as Phantom NJ. He is the leader of Friday Night Crusades. He's also a DM extraordinaire, a great friend of the channel. He's with us tonight. And we'll let each of you announce your different streams and topics and things you guys are working on here in just a moment. Tim is going to stay incognito until we go live because he has some really cool cosplay for us tonight. Topically relevant. Good point. True. Loremaster's Arcanum. Total party kills. Could be. Talk. Everyone else talk. Zoom, yeah, looks good to me on here. They don't hear, just hearing me. Okay, what the literal heck? Hang on. So, Zoom is unmuted. Let me, hold on, let's check this. How about now? Try now. Now are you guys hearing them? I don't think I need to switch screens. I think it was a... Wait, hold on, listen. Try again. One more time. I see you. I can... Still just me? All right, let's just give it a shot. Here we go. I'll figure that out later. Here we go. Blue Box. All right, and you are joined tonight by this incredible crew. We have Robert. We have, whoops, wrong one. We have Robert. We have Chandler. We have Tim. And let's see if you're hearing us now. Go ahead, Robert.
Hello.
1, 2, 3. Can anyone hear me? Yeah.
Can you hear the voice of reason is the golf.
We know who is not the voice of reason, Tim. You are clearly the voice of insanity. But welcome to Blue Box LMA. Quick session, 1 hour tonight, talking about total party kills and the subtle art of killing PCs. I am joined tonight by Chandler, Markov, and you also have Mr. Grantler on your Twitch channel. Talk to us about what you're doing on your channel. Just leave out the golf.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sans Golf, we've been streaming
Sans Golf. Sans.
Yeah,
we're correcting each other on pronunciation
much more often over there, at least twice a week. We have our Civilization 5 history lecture, living history classes.
I learned something last time too. It was really cool.
Yeah, who knew, right? But we're putting out a lot more content there. So now I finally have something to promote at the beginning of these Blue Box episodes.
Nice. Robert.
Yes. What? As far as my channel, so coming soon, and it may very well be this Monday. I'm planning on doing an hour-long stream. Hour and 15 minutes, starting at 8 Eastern, and haven't quite figured out the topics yet. But there will be an announcement on Twitter at some point. So PhantomNJ_D&D, follow me there. I'll probably announce it in the Discord as well. So, and also on Sundays through the end of January, I will be on Kayla Time Lord Wife's stream, playing in a brand new, not quite completely yet released TTRPG called New of Arden. It is a very, very different game. It's a lot of fun, and I hope you'll join us. Takes place right after Rise of the Rune Lords, really. Pretty much as you guys are finishing up.
Nice. Well done. Thank you, Robert. And then tonight, we are joined by the Dr. Kevorkian of player characters. Welcome, Tim.
Good evening. I have known Lord Gazumba for 40 years, and I'm guilty for most of his trauma, so that makes me uniquely qualified to participate this evening. And I'm happy to do so. I feel uniquely qualified to discuss player character deaths.
You are so uniquely qualified.
Though I have passed the baton to the clear winner in the slaughtering category, John. You're welcome.
Yeah. No, Tim, clearly I have used your weaponry for my slaughter. Your crit tables have been the principal element and implement of slaughter.
Well, we can discuss that at length.
All right. So welcome everyone again tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. And we want to just shout out quickly all of our sponsors. You know them all. I won't go through them tonight because we want to stay on track and get right into the topic. I do want to shout out Toriano. Toriano, you're on tonight? Yep, he is. Toriano, Biggie Paul, you see him in chat. He has a stream that's going to be coming up here very soon, starting on Saturdays. He's going to run his streams on Saturdays at 3 Eastern, 2 Central, so sort of a midday stream, and he needs some players. He's going to start on March 19th, and his topic is Keep in the Fog. It's a really cool world that he's built, and he's going to be using both minis, terrain, and also Tailspire. So if you're interested, go ahead and message Toriano. He's in the chat here as well. Check him out, and you can join his streams, which will be starting in March. Thank you for that, Toriano. And let me see what else. Oh, of course, we have the upcoming charity stream in February, There Be Dragons, which Jay and I will be doing together. Lord Gazumba doing his, I think, 3rd or 4th annual support of St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and that's going to be a great time. We've got an all-star cast, Lawful Stupid, we have Carlos from Castle Entertainment, we have Will from Wicked Studios, us, BlueBox, so many great streamers will be participating there to raise funds for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So thank you for supporting that. And then, of course, we have Blue Box Con just right around the corner. I can't believe how close it is. Now, with all that said, let's get to the topic tonight. Not bad. We're only 10 minutes in. Hey, Tom, thank you. Oh, Tom the Vindicator. You were a huge supporter of us this week, Tom. I know you're one of Jay's players, and we appreciate that so much. The topic of PC death is extremely provocative because no one wants to see their player, or their PC rather, die. Let me turn that alert volume down just a bit. No one wants to see their PC die, and yet it's important to have that as part of the game.
Is that true?
So let's ask the question, and we've talked about this on previous LMAs, so if we're retreading previously trod ground, that's okay, because we have a lot of new viewers here as well. Why is it important that death is a reality in the game? Let me start with the newest player, newest PC, Chandler. He's wet behind the ears, he's still going to college, and yet he understands why PC death is important. Go ahead, Chandler.
Yeah, well, hey, I made my way to second college by now, John, so I've leveled up. Yeah, so I would have put myself in the category of the PC killer averse DM. for quite a many years, and we've talked about this. And I, realized that in almost all games, the threat of PC death, if it is a promise that is unfulfilled when you meet the circumstances to fulfill it, the players are going to feel like you're pulling punches, and basically the walls are going to fall off the theater presentation, and they're going to realize that they're basically in Disney's ride, like everything's fake, nothing was real, there was no tension, and if that is an expectation you go in with, you need to live up to it. You need to punish the players that are just really not taking cues, because I would argue PC death doesn't happen to most good players, right? We can get more into that, but that's kind of my opening spiel.
I loved your opening spiel. And by the way, pulling punches, I love that euphemism. I'm going to use that from now on, because, you don't want a DM that pulls punches. You want the DM to follow through on those blows if they are merited. But I can see our resident ghastly figure has a comment. Go ahead, Tim.
I just said indeed. That's really about it. I can generally agree. Death should be a risk.
All right. Robert, we've talked about this quite a bit. We all agree, Desk, I think we agree, death should be a risk, but there can be certain strictures to it, like what causes PC death. But let's go back to the TPK topic. Honestly, total party kills are often referenced, but rarely happen. By show of hands, how many of you have had a TPK in the last 10 years?
We're talking in a campaign.
Yes. Well, no, in a one shot too. In a one shot or a campaign.
In a one shot. Yeah. No, I've done that.
How far back can they go?
I said 10 years.
I need to go back further.
Okay, so you've not had in the last 10 years.
Does total party capture count?
In a one shot, I would say yes. Like, they're all wiped out in one way or another. They're killed or captured. If I look at my my game with the Overgord in Virtual Greyhawk-Con last year, everyone except Finn was slain. Finn ran away. I'm going to call that a TPK. Bravely ran away. I'm going to call that a TPK. So, Robert, tell us about yours.
Oh, I mean, it was definitely a one shot, and it's kind of game, disposable characters. You create, a lot of it. Usually it's usually it ends up being with pre-gens. So characters, I mean, they may get invested during the course of the game. I hope they get invested during the course of the game, but it kind of lacks the trauma of it being, that it would be during a campaign, or if it was people bringing their own characters. So I'm a little more likely to make things more difficult, to the point where it's really a strong potential. And usually they understand that going in. It's the kind of game where, it's kind of harkens back to the old RPGA days, where if you played in a tournament game, a lot of times it was see how long you can survive, not whether you were going to survive.
No, I think that's really good. And so with that as the backdrop, then, when is a TPK appropriate? And there are a couple of types of TPK. So I'm going to pull up an article here. This is, let me see here. Let me switch my screens. There we go. I like sort of visiting new sites. This is Level Up Corner. I've never visited them before, but they had a great article here on when do you have a D&D TPK, and the skulls, of course, always gave me bonus points. When you have a D&D TPK, do not panic, but here's when you let it happen. It's a one-shot. One-shots are the best time, I think, for TPKs. People can expect those. The players knew it was a deadly campaign from session 0. I love that one. That's a great sort of precursor expectation setting, or it's completely justifiable based on their decisions. So, let me go to Tim.
Yes?
We have talked often, my friend, about this idea of player death, TPK, and the decision making of players. And I run a heavy roleplay game. I like roleplay, but when we go to our millennial and Gen Z friends, sometimes they get very much in their feels, Chandler. And so the tactical stuff gets missed. Tell me your thoughts, Tim, about how to bring both the roleplay element, but the tactical element of sense and the danger if you're not sensible and could get TPK'd or PC killed.
Well, I think it's a great mistake to use your sensitivities to role play, to do all the feelings of the character, especially if they are supposedly tactically proficient, and ignoring the role play of how that character would actually be reacting. I just feel like a lot of times there's a lot of talk about how they feel and things are bothering them. But if they are a profession of action, the role play should lend itself to what would this person do in this situation, and then drive their senses and role play that way, because usually that will lead to better tactical decision making, most likely.
I like that. So I want to follow up with that, but let me let either Chandler or Robert respond if they have any comments on that.
I'm gonna withhold my comments for the time being.
Okay, so let's take Millie's death as an example. Now, Millie's death was not a TPK, but it was a hugely emotional, traumatic death in Blue Box. Millie died in the midst of a battle with an Umber Hulk. But there was a very interesting nuance to what happened in that combat, actually several, and Tim and I have talked about this. So Tim, from your perspective, what were the elements that led to the death of a beloved character, Millie?
Say that again?
What were the elements that led to the death of the beloved character, Millie, in the Umber Hulk combat inside that cavern?
I believe there was difficulty in their order of battle as far as arraying their offensive capabilities against the monster.
Right. So step one was the ogre, Brim, half ogre, went through, clogged the chamber. No one else could get in because, and I explained this very sort of narrow serpentine corridor, and he went first. I said, "You're blocking everyone else." He went first. Then once he got inside, the rest of the PCs tried to stream in, and I believe it was Shorewin. Someone jostled past and knocked another player off balance. So you had this combination of errors tactically, which were not about role play. Yes, roads block. Not about role play. They were about the tactical elements of the game. So
I would say no. It is about role play, because they should have the role play included what would those characters do in that situation. They are people of action, people of offense with capabilities, and so the imagination in role play has to follow that trail. Why didn't he just drop straight to the ground and let him run over him? I'll never know. I don't understand.
All right. So if any of the players are in the chat, you guys can respond. Robert, I know you watch that because you watch every episode. Any comments on that?
I have memories. I don't trust my exact memory on how it went down. I remember there being tactical errors. Sometimes, honestly, even good players sometimes just goof. I've had in my personal campaign, they're actually really, really good at tactics. The only time they tend to really get themselves in trouble is every so often they forget that they got as far as they have because they're very good with tactics, and it usually ends with at least one of them being dropped to zero, if not getting a couple of them getting very close to it.
No, because they forget and they try to brute force it. They forget. And they're feeling a little invincible, and a couple they end up taking a bit of a beating before. Oh yeah, no, we remember how to do these things, and then they usually are really good about taking things down in the proper order.
Well, of course, it took me to my very last piece of the old school Dwarven Forge materials to find the corridor, but this was the corridor. It was super narrow, and I had this miniature here, which was Brim, blocking the corridor as they all came behind. So, yes, this is not meant to be unkind or berating of those players, but this is an example of a place where a PC or a TPK can occur. If you're not listening to the cues of the DM, and the DM, if there's different styles of DMing. Some DMs want to be really overtly open and kind and say, hey, if you do this, this could happen, and it's not a bad style. It's just not my style. My style.
Well, we know.
No, my style is I'll put the cues out there and the clues, and you've got to pay attention and listen. And if you miss them, then there can be significant consequences. Chandler.
And John, let me ask a question for you. You have kind of the physical space that you're describing, and if you are merciful, which you shouldn't be in this case, and allow Millie through, you're kind of destroying the physicality that you're trying to make in the theater of the mind, are you not? It's working against the world that you're trying to build if you don't, have them.
I think wasn't she stuck over? She was already stuck on the other side, wasn't she?
She was, on the, but yes, Chandler, you're dead on. And so Chandler, let the record show, supports killing PCs and TPKs. Well done, Chandler. I have converted you to the dark side. So the one shot is the most common. The players knew it was a deadly campaign. I tell all my PCs, death is a reality here, and it's not because I like killing PCs. I don't. I put lots of planning into that. I spend money on artwork. I work hard to make my PCs beloved by their players. But if they don't risk death, it's not as much fun. The number 3 you're seeing up right, this is the big one for me. Completely justifiable based on their decisions. There must be consequence for decisions. So I can go back to Tiernal. You don't know Tiernal. You might know him anecdotally, Chandler. Robert, you probably remember seeing him. Tim, you probably don't know Tiernal. Tiernal was a first, second level gnome in my Rune Lords campaign, and he decided at first level to venture into the cave of a mother bear with her cubs. He then tried to rush out, he tripped, he rolled, he fumbled. So it was a combination of poor judgment and poor rolling, and he was slaughtered. He was ripped to shreds. This was actually a first-time D&D player. He's my eldest daughter's boyfriend, and Ian, please don't be mad at me. He literally cried, like a little bit, like a couple of tears after the session, because his first ever D&D character was slaughtered, but it was completely...
Join the club.
Completely justifiable based on his decisions. Mm-hmm. That's where these things occur. All right.
And can I lend something to that?
You absolutely can.
Yeah, which is, like, let's take Rune Lords, for example. I would say it seemed as though the party had come to the very, very close precipice of a TPK in the Kraken fight. And
so close.
Yes, I think it was. And the support of the gods in the form of the Mad Chatters, I think, gave us just enough advantage to tip that scale, right? But let's Markov, very likely just could have been considered dead if not for just ridiculous circumstances when it comes to that orb. And I think there's no way I could argue, because if we're talking about justifiable by the decisions, I spoke to you, right? And I'll share this to the crowd, is that Markov could have walked away. He could have gone to Magnemar. He could have said no, right? And at this point, the party's not going to even give the chest up. Right. So all that optional decision led to all that optional, trouble.
And you're right. Like the viewers had a huge impact on that, but I like that. It's always a balance we're trying to have here at Blue Box, where we want people, whether it's hero points in Jay's game or advantage or healing in our game, but the viewers were a huge contributor to what the outcome of that. But it felt there was a continuity to the game in that, and I felt that was good. Go ahead, Tim.
Well, L-Hawk 99 had asked the question. I thought was a good one. What happens if the characters would know but the players don't? Because I play, and my son's 10, and I've had players that aren't familiar with certain things, and I know what I would do. But is that worth discussing at the moment? Or?
No, I think it is. It came up in our Underdogs campaign on Saturday, Tim. That was a topic. So yeah, go ahead.
I think, one is, yes, you should let if it's obvious or if you're not sure if the players know the full things that the character should be aware of, you should give them that and let them know that, hey, your character so-and-so, you can realize that the smell you're smelling is unusual. You know what I mean? Just to help them if they're not,
Right.
They don't. Who knows what a dungeon really smells like? I don't know. So you should do that. You should let them know things that are unusual that their characters would know, even if they don't.
Well said. Go ahead, Chandler.
I was just going to say, in one of the games that I run, there's a very high intelligence character. If he misses something, especially it's something he's heard and he's got eidetic memory as his character trait, I'm gonna prompt him. He doesn't have to use it, but I'll just kindly remind him, and I won't even tell him how it necessarily could relate, just that his character ought to know the detail. And I feel like that in of itself isn't pulling a punch. It's trying to make the role play consistent, because if that character wouldn't remember that, especially having like an eidetic memory, how is that consistent with the character that he's made?
I love that. Yes, exactly. And so, but again, as a DM, I still want the onus on the player. So I'll drop those hints. I'll give them something, if that's an eidetic memory that PC has, fine. But I did this with Alcott. Alcott, this goes back in Rune Lords in several sessions, probably about 4 or 5 months ago. His mother had a brooch, and she kept saying over and over again, "It's the last thing your father gave me." She kept tapping it. It's so much so that Cade got irritated and really got frustrated. But there was actually a reason for that. There was something on the back of that brooch which he had not seen, which was a clue for him, but he missed it completely. I offered it probably 4 or 5. You'd have to go back and watch the stream. I would say I probably did it 4 or 5 times. She kept tapping it. She kept saying, "It's the last thing your father gave me, the very last thing I received from him." And he never inquired and asked to see it. So that's how I like to do it. I'll give the hints and the clues. If you have that exceptional PC with an 18 intelligence or a 20 intelligence or eidetic memory, then I will give those clues, but I still want the player to pick up on them.
Yeah, so John, it almost seems like you giving them the clue and kind of giving them multiple instances of the clue is basically you prompting that intelligence to the player.
Exactly. So I'm not going to say, oh, because of your intelligence, you recognize this, and this. I'm going to say, because of your intelligence, I'm going to give you these clues, which you as a player should pick up on. That's my style. Robert, go ahead. You had something you want to say.
Well, that's the kind of thing that there's going to be a conversation either on the break, during a break, or after the session, where I'm going to sit with that, talk to that player and let them know, listen, if I'm telling you something repeatedly like that, there's something there. Just assuming that it's a player who may not know better. I mean, they may be new to the game.
Exactly.
There's a teachable moment there, but it's the kind of thing, this is, or it may just be new to my style of DMing or whatever the case may be. Go over and point out that, listen, if I'm giving you this clue over and over again, there's probably something more there.
Go
good.
Yeah. Can I respond to that?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Please.
Yeah, I think that's great, Rob. I will say, and just to kind of throw this out there, I almost deliberately kind of do the opposite, in the sense of I try and deliver red herrings, give too much information. And in one case, I brought, it was like Pavlov's dogs. They had figured out whenever I had a little folder out on the table that they were near something because that folder had handouts. So I would start bringing an empty folder with nothing in it and just bring it out at random times to go ahead.
I was going to say, I like it, but at the same time, if you overuse that, that's the kind of thing where your players suddenly are paralyzed because they're trying to figure out whether or not you're just yanking their chain.
Which is the art. That's the art, right? It's not a science,
right,
it's an art.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing where, it's the Mimic is one of the greatest creatures ever created in the history of D&D. The problem is the first time you use a Mimic, everybody's going to assume everything's a Mimic.
Which is why
totally.
if you watch my games, I have never yet used a Mimic. And don't think it's not in my repertoire, but you're exactly right, Robert. Once you do it, now it becomes ubiquitous in expectation. So I save that. At some point, there will be a Mimic, but I don't want to overuse that. Go ahead, Chandler.
Right.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree with that sentiment, Rob. I think there's a level of discernment that the DM has to have. And I just wanted to throw it out there because I think that useless information and red herrings make the players not consider every piece of information a given.
Exactly.
And they have to kind of filter through it, right?
I do that a lot, Chandler. I love that. That's such a great tool in the DM's toolkit because if everything you say is relevant and is part of a clue, then there's a level of sort of attenuation to what you're saying that the players will have. But if they know there is chaff with the wheat, there are things which are irrelevant that are thrown in there, then they try to discern, like, which are they? I do that all the time in my games. Please continue, Chandler.
Yeah, and I just want to say I think it works better for some settings than others. The one that I did that particular scheme with was a horror setting because I wanted them on edge. I wanted them to not know if something was just about to pop up and hit them or whatever. So I think it's just kind of being aware what you're trying to telegraph the players.
All right, Tim, you had something to say, I could tell.
Oh, no, I don't. The amount of extra info depends on the length and the style of the campaign and what level they're at and if they're even paying attention.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could end up wasting just a ton of time if they get caught up chasing a rabbit trail. I don't want them oftentimes to, run down these useless trails. If at all possible.
So,
go ahead, Rob.
One of the things that I do, and I actually comes up on Friday nights a lot, because you have all these different races. At least with Castle and Crusade, you have these different races that have different, like elves with heightened vision. The half-orcs have heightened sense of smell, and so one of the things that I like to do is when I'm doing a description of something, I make sure that you want to use all the senses to start with, but if you get lost in a long description and everything starts melding together, you might lose the players at some point. So, and what the things they're supposed to pick up on. So I make sure that, for the half-orcs, if they smell something, I pointedly tell them that this is what you guys are smelling. The elves might see something. The dwarf might notice something, especially if they're underground and such. Making sure that the appropriate characters are picking up on the appropriate clues, and it doesn't get lost in just the general description because that can happen.
Brief by exception, right? Just cover the few points that are exceptions to the norm.
Yeah, exactly. Well said, Chandler.
Yeah, John, I was going to say I kind of peeked what you had on the screen there. And there seems like there's some discussion that can be made about that. The dumb luck. I obviously you have something you want to say, but after that, I want to add on to what if you don't hit what I was thinking about.
Before I do that, let me go back to this. There's an image on the screen, and I like giveaways. I do lots of giveaways here, just like Jay does. We both like to support the community and reward the folks that are so helpful to us. If anyone can name in the next 15 seconds in the Discord what Dragon Magazine issue this image comes from, I will give you this Kings of War. Oh, no, not this. I want this one. Hold on. Sorry, wrong one. I really want to paint this guy. He's so super cool. This terrain crate, Gothic set here. What Dragon magazine is that? No, it's too easy for you, Jay. I want someone else to name it. What Dragon Mag episode 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, no, 2, no, 1, no, not number 1. I'll give you 5 more seconds. 5, 4. Good guess. Tim, good guess. Patrick, good. 3, 2, 1. Nobody got. Oh, whoa. Jay, I said you were excluded. Jay had it. It's 37. Jay can't win. So this is from Dragon Mag 37, and it's a bit of a departure, but I just want to show you. If you are a fan of D&D, I don't care if you're a 5e player, a 1e player, if you play Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, Castles and Crusades, Zweelander, whatever it is, these Dragon magazines are a treasure trove of content. So this is 37. The artwork is incredible. Nothing like looking at these old Ral Partha. This is 1980, right? So we're going way back, 42 years ago. And the articles are fun. You have Gary Gygax's articles in here, but just take a look at this one. Let me scroll that. So, there's just a gloriously gorgeous artwork piece. It's not in the monster manual. So 6 neutral dragons introduced here, which are to really fight your powerful players. So not everything is a gold dragon or a black dragon. Neutral dragons. This continues later, I think on page 35 or 37, if I remember correctly. You got crystal, topaz, emerald, sapphire, amethyst, and ruby dragons. Super cool stuff. The artwork, step-by-step encounters for urban environments, city campaigns. Cities can help make characters more real. Greyhawk, The Shape of the World by Gary Gygax. If you are not in the Annan Archive, you should be. I don't care what edition you play. This stuff is so rich with advice and countenance and content. It is absolutely incredible. And so this is Dragon Mag 37. Sorry, Jay, you can't win because you are the ultimate actually, knowledge warrior of all things Dragon Mag. All right, back to killing characters and TPKs. Red Hulk, yes, you can't pop 37 in now that I've already said it, Red Hulk, sorry. Let's sequester these two topics, the TPK and then killing of PCs. And I use the term subtle art, and I think it is a subtle art. You do not want the blunt instrument of killing player characters. The old sort of comment is it's not the DM against the PCs, and it's not. That's a horrible way to play the game. But the DM,
or is it?
but the DM should be exposing risk to the PCs. Now let's come back to TPK. Tim, I'm going to go to each one of you. I'm going to start with you, Tim. Then I'll go to you, Robert, and I'm going to go to you, Chandler. Give me an example of when you think a TPK should occur, and if someone can pop it in the chat, I'd like to see a poll. I don't know if Evelyn's on. She might be working. But go ahead, Tim. When should a TPK occur?
I don't believe that it ever, quote, should occur. I don't think it is a should it happen. It may, but I don't know if it's like, I don't need to TPK a group to say, forget it, I'm not playing with you guys anymore. I don't, I have TPK'd. I've ended a campaign in a big giant fight against the High Secret Order, which it just happened. I wouldn't say it should have happened. So my position is there's no it should happen. It just can happen and should be managed carefully.
All right, Robert.
So, kind of going off, I'm also in the, with the really shouldn't happen isn't quite. Now, having said that,
y'all a bunch of wusses.
Well, here's the thing: if there's a plan for what happens after a TPK,
Yeah, a whole other topic. Yes.
But if it's the kind of thing where you're running, I guess the term is what, a grimdark campaign, and it's very, players on your, the facing death on a daily basis, and every combat is potentially completely deadly, and so on and so forth. If it's that kind of campaign, and there's a plan, because if you're going to potentially TPK your player, if you're going to come that close where you think you're going to TPK your players, and there's a reason it should happen, there better be a plan for what comes next, because otherwise you no longer have a game. I'm still not entirely comfortable with the idea of should, but that's as close as I'll come to it.
All right, I like that. And so, coming back to what Chandler referenced here, if you kill the players due to bad dice rolls, this is not okay. I'm kind of on the fence with this. I am not above a bit of a fudge, but I've said this so many times. And Robert, you are the most consistent viewer of Blue Box stuff for the last 2.5 years. What is my... and I'm putting you on the spot here, but can you remember what my sort of philosophy is on when players typically die? It takes two things.
Well, one, either bad dice rolls or bad crit table rolls.
So dice rolls, right? Bad dice rolls
and bad player choices.
Exactly. Both of those things. Rarely will I allow just some sort of random, ridiculous roll to kill a PC. Now, it can happen because guess what? They do the same thing to the enemies. If they're fighting the bugbears like last night and Terry, and they rip the throat out, and you should have that equal danger. But normally, I'd have to go back through. I can't think of a PC that's died in any of my campaigns in the last 3 years that didn't have the combination of both bad rolls and poor decision making, which is this highlighted section here. You can die by a dumb luck, but no one likes dying by dumb luck. You love killing by dumb luck, don't you? You like those crazy crits, but no player's happy with a dumb luck death. You roll it out, and everyone wants the game to be played in a certain fashion. So Chandler, talk about TPKs, and then you had a comment on this paragraph, I think.
Yeah. So the first is, when should it happen? I think I'll give an example that I had to deal with, which was, I think of Strahd's Castle in Ravenloft, in the Barovia setting, right? The low level party, they go there first. They see skulls everywhere. They see staked people, all this death and destruction, and then the doors are open for them as if they, it was expecting them to come there. And then they go inside, and then they continue seeing all this, awful, ominous stuff. I don't think you can put a bigger sign that says "you will die" than describing that setting, right, and having them walk in there, right?
But like Scooby-Doo, they wouldn't have run away.
Go ahead.
But a Scooby-Doo, they wouldn't have run away. They would have been, hey, they're trying to scare us away.
Yeah. So there's some argument there, but I would say that situations like those, I wouldn't say it gets rid of the empathy, but it gets rid of a little of the sympathy of, like, I don't know how I could have made it more clear without telling you explicitly, you are going to die because of all this death. And the second thing is in regards to that little blurb that you showed, which is people, unfortunately die of random stuff all the time in real life, but stories are not necessarily real life. I always think of the adage, if somebody coughs in real life, nobody really bats an eye. Maybe that's not as true nowadays, but most
no,
of the
definitely
time,
not.
Yeah, but most of the time somebody coughs in class. Yeah, mask up beforehand, But in a story, if somebody coughs, that's like an awful sign. There's a little bit more intention. Random stuff is not going to happen because you build expectations and you're going to feel robbed, and not robbed as in the other panel member here.
Yeah, you meant Kroppenwicki. I know you did.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like, if you just say, I let the dice speak, and they made the best decisions, it it feels like the story's getting stolen, right? Because all of that expectation's been pulled out from underneath their feet.
I think that's well said. Go ahead, Rob.
Now, I mean, I'm not a fan of this particular paragraph, at least that sentence. If you kill the players due to bad dice rolls alone. Now, I'm assuming they're talking about the entire party died to bad dice rolls, because a single character is one thing.
Okay, so yeah, Rob. So I'm glad you brought that up, Rob, and I'm gonna let you continue. But that can be the same thing. Like if you're in a combat and the tank dies, that could turn the entire battle against the party. So one player dying could turn into a TPK based on a die roll. So what are your thoughts on sort of that mix of the balance between the individual PCs and the party? Because unless you're going to fudge it as a DM, if their tank dies and it's a close combat, that could be a TPK.
So here's the thing: if one of their characters goes down, and especially if it's a character that they really, really needed in order to win this combat, as a DM, most times there's going to be a way for them to withdraw. And it may cost another character in the withdrawal. They may not all make it out alive, but if they all died of bad dice rolling, that probably, I mean, it means they stayed too long.
So you're saying if I have a party that faces this, I should give them a way to withdraw.
Well, when you're facing Tiamat, you're basically going in with the it's very. That's the kind of thing where I'd go in as a player, and I'm assuming I'm not going to live. That's that. I mean, and that for that kind of combat, all bets are off. I mean, when you get to that level, because here's the thing, at that point, it's going to be one way or another. It's going to be an epic death. Mm-hmm. It's either going to be an epic victory, it's going to be an epic death, and that's an end game thing. I mean, that's Tiamat. If Tiamat's not the final battle of your campaign, if you have Tiamat come out and that's not the final battle of your campaign, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, I would say you're just scaring people from it, because Tiamat, I mean, how big are the player characters? Why would Tiamat even deign to even wing buffet them? I mean, she just basically would urinate and they run away in fear. So, there's, I mean, if you're playing ultra high levels, okay, that's different, but we're not doing that. So I would say,
I mean, that's the idea. If you're facing Tiamat, you better be ultra high level.
Okay, I mean, so this goes back to where was the comment? By the way, thank you very much for the follow, Sig Navojo. I think I pronounced that correctly. If not, I'm sorry. But a DM planning a TPK. I will tell you, I think in my 40-year history of GMing, I've only pseudo-planned a TPK one time, and I did it last year.
The Overgord.
When I was launching the Overgord, I really wanted to highlight this as a villainous and powerful creature, and it was a one-shot, right? So in that one-shot...
a delicious dessert.
Exactly. So in this one-shot, this thing was so overpowered that I think I had 4th and 5th level characters in the game. There was no chance they had, and all but one of them died and fled. That's the closest I've come to planning a TPK. In a campaign, a DM should never plan a TPK. You're exactly right, Robert. There should always be an out. Chandler, looks like you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, the train is riding away. I'm trying to capture it. Oh, in Rob's point that the withdrawal, right? And somebody might die in the withdrawal. I think, again, with storytelling and expectation building and intentionality, they are changing. They're in that moment when they choose to withdraw, they're changing the expectation, and someone can then choose to stay and have an epic death. And it doesn't feel random in that case. They are giving their life, and they're making this character's story conclude in the covering the withdrawal. Right. So, and thankfully, again, on the whole randomness thing, I don't see randomness killing whole parties. Right. If randomness could set things up. I'm trying to collect my thoughts. Here we go. What I mean is, if one die roll kills the whole party set themselves up really poorly, I think.
Yeah.
Or on the flip, the DM just made a really bad trap, like a trap that kills the whole party, a giant explosion or something.
Well,
Or
okay.
a sea voyage random encounter where there's a volcano that erupts under them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should re-roll that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I want to dive into some practical tips here with the last 10 or 15 minutes we have, and thank you so much, everyone, for following us. By the way, if you're watching tonight and you haven't followed, I see some new chatters in the chat, or if you're a follower and you haven't subbed, if you're a sub whose sub has expired, we have one question for you tonight. What are you doing? No, we got to do it again. Tim didn't do it. Tim, you got to do it. All right, say, we have one question for you tonight. What are you doing? Give us a follow, give us a sub. Thank you, Thinnish Expert. We appreciate that so much. 5 gifts. Oh, wow, awesome. That's incredible.
I was busy thinking.
No worries. Thank you, Thinnish Expert. So let's dive into this now, because again, I want 2 topics to be truly plumbed. 1, PC entire parties dying in a campaign. Should it be something that only occurs with abjectly foolish decisions, or can the dice create that kind of death? If someone can pop that up in a poll, I'd love it, but I want to go through my panel quickly here. Let's start with you this time, Chandler. Should random dice allow for a TPK in the same way that random dice rolls would allow for a player group to kill a huge party, to kill a dragon, to kill an Umber Hulk, to kill something monstrous using, and this is part of the economy of your gaming system. So I'm using the Ever Mysterious Tim's tables, I'm using Steve Bloodwild's tables. So you've got to have this whole sort of ecosystem around your game. Should a party possibly die by dice rolls? Chandler.
This is my take. This is my hot take, is that if the party did things very well and one dice roll, it results in the death of the whole party and it's not the climax, then no, it should not, because then the dice are subverting the expectation of the story and they're taking away the agency of the storytellers.
All right, I love that. All right, now. So just a follow up here before I go to Robert and Tim. Simultaneously, if you have a monstrous BBEG or a huge enemy party, should you allow crits and great dice rolls to easily fell that party or that enemy party in the same way that we're saying we can't do that to the PCs?
I would say that in order to maintain the consistency, then yeah, it shouldn't. I'm willing to give up that to maintain consistency, because those are equally epic level encounters.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing for either one. I just wanted to, all right, go ahead, Robert.
So, I mean, I look at it this way: when you get to higher levels, and the damage, bad dice rolls can mean a lot of incoming damage versus a lack of outgoing damage, and the disparity gets that much worse. Then yes, lower levels. If a TPK happened purely to dice rolls alone, bad dice rolls alone, as a DM, I'm thinking I screwed something up there, because either I overtuned the encounter, or I didn't leave them away. I didn't leave them away to withdraw. Usually it's going to be there's something I could have gone another way, and I'll do something like actually, what was it? Vampire Logan was the new. The
Force must have balance. Red Hulk, I like that.
mention having the possibility of capture.
Right.
Have the party be captured
Absolutely.
instead.
I love that. No, I love that. Yes.
If one or two die, okay. But if the entire party dies due to TPKs due just to bad dice rolls alone, I'm thinking I did something wrong there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I like that, Robert. Now, and I agree with you. By the way, we're on the same page. But let me go to Tim now. Tim,
Don't let Evelyn close your ears, because that's frightening. John and I are agreeing again.
it's happening more and more often now, Robert. Tim, I'm using these really, really nasty crit tables. And I love them. I love the descriptions. I have.
Wait a minute. Do I get to answer the same question?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. But I'm putting a frame on the question as it comes to you. So I agree with what they're saying. So by virtue of that, then, if you agree with that statement,
I get to answer the full question.
Go ahead, Tim.
The question is, it's complicated. It's not as simple as yes, no, dice decide. If I'm the DM, the dice serve me. I don't serve the dice. And so I think that the number of deaths seen is a result of not tracking their hit points. Because I will make a fudge to save a character in the game if it makes the play fun and continues it on. And I know some people want to be hard, and that depends on your style. I actually, talking to Robert before this, determined that I'm the nicest of you all. So, sorry, it's true.
Put that mask back on, Tim.
I am. I'm the nicest. Not all the time. Now, if they do stuff dumb, they're going to, if you make really stupid tactical decisions, I have no problem delivering all amounts of scunion. And if you make great decisions and outmaneuver them and make the enemy look fool and it's stupid and it seems easy, that is the goal of any armed force against another. You're not looking for a great battle. You're looking for turning them into the equivalent of baby harp seals that you're clubbing. That's what you want for your enemy. If you do things right, it wins like that. And so a TPK shouldn't happen. It can happen, and it's never one dice roll. It's always a couple. It's always several.
Right.
And I think, I track hit points. I track a number of things, and if it looks like, especially if it's family game, it's one of my kids or friends. If it's not going to serve to have that person killed and throw a wrench in the entire process, then I'll fudge it. Maybe I'll just reduce it. They go negatives instead of die or something. So I will do that. Now, I've also played games where everything rolled out front. And Warhammer, I feel like you can do that. There's a lot more built-in stuff to make that more fun. But that's my...
All right, Tim. So you are definitely nicer than me. That there's no doubt.
Oh, I've known that for a long time.
I see. Yeah, Tim. Like I said, Tim mentioned we had the conversation beforehand. Now, I don't fudge dice rolls. It isn't because of me desire to be hard about it. It's I don't want to be in the position where I'm deciding who lives and dies.
Exactly.
Oh, I do.
I don't want my PCs. I don't want my players thinking, oh, if you didn't fudge, you killed me. If you did fudge, you saved me. So I don't fudge dice for that reason.
I never tell them.
Well, yeah, but they know. They will know. Players know if you fudge dice. I think they do.
How do they know?
Poll. Players, do you know if your DM is fudging dice? Do you have a hunch if your DM fudges dice? That's why I don't fudge dice. I don't. Because
I've run whole games and nobody knew that almost the entire thing was improvised and not...
In Tim's defense, not that he needs anyone to defend
no
him.
defense for Tim. Defense for Tim is as forbidden as Glitter Bomb John and dinosaurs are here on Blue Box.
So I think he makes a great distinction, which is like when you said Warhammer, you meant Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Is that correct?
He did, yes.
That is an excellent system for rolling all out in the open because that game has super high lethality, right? The characters aren't really heroes. You can be a rat catcher. You can be all sorts of really sad, pathetic, characters, and it's fun. That's kind of the expectation going into it. And I have a funny story about that I can tell Tim when we're not on the panel together. But I think there's a bit of an expectation, and at some point I did want to get to this, John, because I knew you'd have a lot to say about it.
Go ahead.
And this is a comment by, I think it's pronounced Sieglinda.
Yeah. Oh, Siegelin. That's Jeff.
Much earlier on.
Siegelin, Jeff. That's the guy who does all the incredible renderings on our Discord. He's amazing.
So the idea there is that death is a consequence of it being in a game, right? And if there's no death, it's just pure storytelling. And I think that's a great distinction, because games have win states and they have lose states. And D&D can sometimes sit somewhere in the middle of that spectrum, right? Of a pure game and pure storytelling. And I wanted to at least ask your thoughts, because Wizards of the Coast has been experimenting with more on the storytelling and the gaming end. Like, take the Strixhaven module, for example. Those are very low impact campaigns that you can play, where death is not an outcome that you can experience in that module.
Okay.
So is that a question for me, Chandler?
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested in kind of this
think
newer approach
that's a
to
crap.
it.
No, like, I get it. I've enjoyed, like, Monster of the Week, and there are certain. I play Monopoly with my 10-year-old. You don't have to have death and everything, but I think in my style of role play, and I think everyone here knows I'm pretty, like, hardcore with my role play. I like it. I like the storytelling, and death makes it more fun. That's always the point that I make. Like, the risk, the danger that you could die. Go ahead, Tim.
I would say intense loss makes it more fun. It doesn't need to be death. It could be your castle is sacked. The very thing that you've been raising as a little pet or whatever gets slaughtered. I mean, you can have loss.
Tim, you know I've done that. Like, your first level character has a pet. They have I constantly pull on my PC's backstories. I kidnap their family members. I've had family members slain. I've had pets. But the idea of loss, and yes, death for a PC as part of that, makes the game more fun. Honestly, if you look at the hours I've played, we are in episode 77, 78, 79 for Rune Lords. We're in 65, 68 for Greyhawk Awakening. So you're talking a good 140, 150 episodes there, 3 hours each. So hundreds and hundreds of hours. And I think there have been maybe 4 or 5 PC deaths in all of that. That's not overkill. Go ahead, Tim.
I want to talk about 2 things. One is how to stop having your characters killed. Missile weapons and overlapping weapon effects on a target. Not bunching, overlapping weapon effects on the targets to take them down. Missile weapons work because that's why they use them still today.
Right.
They work. So you start attriting the enemy before you're in melee, where they can do stuff back to you. So that's my one tidbit. And the other tidbit is, if they do die, if you're DM and you kill your character, you can easily make it where they can get a loan at this temple. And then now you own that party. So the temple, now they owe 50 grand to this temple that raised them. And now they have to tithe all their treasure, like 80% of it, or whatever it is. You can, hey, we need you to go take care of this. So now you have them doing whatever those people want. And it's a great tool to keep them from getting tons of magic items, if you especially because they get first pick. And it's a great way to let them have that character come back with a cost.
I love that. By the way, Vampire Logan put this in the chat. Red Hulk, a great new viewer, said I'm right. That's always a good way to get on my good side.
We got to get rid of that guy. I mean, obviously, got to go.
Thank you, Manda.
Red Hulk, you don't need to suck up to John.
No, he's speaking truth. That's all. Hey, thanks again, Tim. Congrats on the win last night. I do get giddy, Pat. No, I don't get giddy. That's not true. I think that's a great point, Tim. You never rejoice in PC death. I don't do that. I grieve when a PC dies. Millie, I wept. I literally wept when Millie died. Moria cost me $200 for new artwork and all this stuff. I wept over that too. But the comment made by Vampire, where was it? Vampire Logan, losing items, that's kind of what Tim was saying. You can have level drain, experience loss, pet, family loss. You can have item loss. There are many other ways to create consequences which feel real. So I am not an advocate for PC death, which was sort of the hook for this show tonight. I'm not an advocate of that. It's got to be a reality for me, but there are many other ways you can make the game feel real and dangerous, and the gain and the loss to be impactful. Chandler,
I didn't see any way for Moria to survive in that place.
Well, Moria was so great. So talk about that, Tim, because I know you and I have talked. So Moria, this is a really important topic. You have a player who is playing their PC according to their alignment and their philosophy, and they go into an absolutely untenable, unwinnable combat.
Well, and they are living in a city that's entirely depraved and evil.
Exactly.
And she's lawful good, right?
Yep.
And lawful good, but also lawful stubborn, where, you can be lawful good and use your guile to try to blend in and make your ways, trying to benefit the most people through your deity. But if you go in there all like ching, 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 you're going to die. There's no version of that I would, if I was a DM and you played that way, I would guarantee you're going to be killed by somebody. Killed, robbed, mocked. There's no way they would tolerate you. I mean, why would they? Why bother? So I was like, there's no version of it that she wasn't going to get killed eventually.
All right, Robert, then Chandler.
Yeah, so I'm not going to lie. The fact that they were going to die, at least one, if not more of them were going to die, I was expecting it. It was, once I saw what the situation was, it was one of those things where knowing the character, and it wasn't until afterwards we found out that that was, or actually was, I think during it, the realization that the character was not going to back down. That's one of those things where I'm going to try to find another way, because I know the player is going to play their character true to them. So if I'm throwing a force that's absolutely going to kill them if it comes to combat, and put the player in a situation where they can either choose to be true to their character or not be true to their character and have their character live.
But I don't know what that's even. I mean,
go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I see. This is the town guard. I maybe have one of them have a net or something that can let them take them by force if it comes down to it, but take them alive. I
think the character class choice and style was the mistake in the beginning.
Well, I mean, whether the character, you can argue, yeah, sure, you can argue whether it was a good idea to have that kind of thing in given the setting. And again,
what do you mean a good idea? What do you mean a good idea? What if it is the reality of your game? That's still a conversation that
the DM and the player need to have beforehand.
What if it's the reality of your game? What do you mean a good idea? Like it's the reality of the game. Like, do you think only good people should be in good places and bad people in bad places, and they should never conflate the two? That's part of the game, right?
Well, it is. Well, no, they can, but they must adapt.
Exactly, or die. Exactly. Yeah.
And the adaptation should mean you can't, a low level person going ching ching lawful good, and I don't see how that's going to survive.
All right, Chandler's been quiet, and he's got something. Go ahead, Chandler.
Yeah, did you say, are we close to wrapping up? Yeah, I thought I heard you say final thoughts.
No, this is final thoughts. We're wrapping up. I'm giving away S2, the White Plume Mountain module. This is a Lightning Source reprint, so this is not the original, but it is. If you've seen these Lightning Source reprints, they have all the maps. They're super cool. Even in the back, I think there's a blue. Hang on, they got some color stuff. There you go. Like the dungeon maps. These are really awesome. These all come from Canadian Ancient Gamer. Patrick, our good friend here that supports us, and also Jay. We're going to give this away in just a moment. It's going to be a straight giveaway. We won't do rolls because we're out of time. We need to raid Jay. But Chandler, your final thoughts.
Yes. So I came in with some final thoughts, which is D&D and role-playing in general is collaborative storytelling. The DM is there to help the players, right? So I think there is quite a bit that players can do to mitigate the full stoppage and loss of a TPK. I've found in my experience, I like to call it the dear fellow investigator effect of Cthulhu, or the Cthulhu role-playing game, because you kind of go in expecting you're going to die, so you have in your pocket a whole roster of connections to use, and in that way the players can set up insurance. And hopefully, I can't speak for everyone, you go in and you say death is not the end of the story. Death is just one obstacle on my way to get to the end state, right? The stopping of evil. And I've learned this from better players than I try and do this, with the Rune Lords, with Markov. I've referenced other characters that he's associated with, because it's very likely that he can die coming up very soon. And I don't want that to be a full stoppage of my players' interest in the campaign. So I think that it's really helpful to have the DM and the players come up with that insurance and the dear fellow investigators to make sure that your a TPK is not going to stop the story, because that's what a lot of players can feel like, right? Everyone dies and then we have no game. That is not what you want.
No, well said. And why do I hear "dear future husband" in my head every time you say "dear fellow investigator"?
Well, I mean, if you know any guy, I'm joking.
Okay. Robert, Tim, we're giving a few more moments because I had to reset the bot. So type !S2 to win this White Plume Mountain Lightning Source reprint gifted to us by Canadian Nation Gamer, Patrick. And as we're waiting for that, of course, I promised to do a second viewing of this on Tuesday, and I forgot. So let's play this tonight. The incredible artwork, fan art of Chandler. Check this out.
It's Oscar bait.
It is Oscar bait.
So here's what it is. I will leave you in Magnamar while I go to Sandpoint. Go back to grab my family, bring them back to Magnamar, and then we will meet back up in Magnamar. And then we will
all I hear is a three-way party split. That's all I'm hearing
It's
right now.
horrifying.
And just as a note, Irda, during all this going on, she takes a small break from counting coin.
Oh, yeah?
And she will cast Scry to scry on her father.
Have you ever told your father your brother was found? I can't remember if...
She hadn't had time,
Yeah,
so
okay,
she's just
yeah.
like,
You never scry on me anymore.
you never call.
You never scry.
So I can't, every time I hear that.
Weird amber light. Think of it like a rainbow,
Okay.
but one color that comes up from the coast.
An ill omen.
I fear whatever they're trying to bring about is beginning. We have to get home.
Are we late? We have to hurry.
All right.
All right.
Alcott sees that and just slaps Markov on the back, and they both disappear.
It's like a perfectly cut edit.
Exactly. Edit. Cut.
And that's why you're not just friends. You're my family. And
That's what I was gonna say. Family.
yes, thank you, Cade. Family. And you have to defend family.
So we fight.
We fight.
Oh no, we have to hurry.
That's the worst ear to accent ever.
You're correct.
Follow us on Twitch. If you're not following, what are you doing? Absolutely epic. Well done, sir. Thank you so much, Chandler. We're going to go ahead and raid Jay now. As we set off the raid, let's go our giveaway. And the winner tonight of L2 here, I'll let you watch this if I can find my, here we go. Nightbot, this is how it works. You just click roll it. I'm going to click roll it here. Wait, hold on. So Myomorph enabled. All right, so if you see your name in the left-hand side, from Jerry all the way down through Woden, you're all eligible for the giveaway. I'll give you 5 more seconds. 4, exclamation point S2, 3, 2, 1. And the winner tonight of White Plume Mountain is... oh, you're in. First-time chatter. Zenosich, follow us. Please give us a follow. And here we go. 3, 2, 1. Winner is... oh, Chris is in. We give a couple more seconds. People are still popping in. Thank you, Zenosichi. Welcome to the Mad Chatters. Follow us in our Discord. Our Discord is live. It is lit. It is fun. All kinds of cool stuff. Oh, Robert's in now. Just give it a couple more. All right, here we go. The winner is... Patrick Fraley 17. Let's go, Patrick. Oh, and there is the other Patrick, Canadian Nation Gamer, with 3 gift subs. He is the provider of all of this great content. We appreciate all the lightning source modules. And don't leave us. We're going to raid Jay. Let's give Jay a good raid from Blue Box. And I'm going to pull this up right now.
John?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you want to mention next week?
I absolutely do. Go ahead, Robert.
I was going to leave that to you.
All right. So next week, we have once a month here in Q1, and we may do this longer if Robert's up for it. He's going to do 1 Loremaster's Arcanum per month. So next Wednesday night, Robert will be running LMA. I've got another obligation I'll be fulfilling, and I know he's going to crush it. Robert, do you know your topic yet?
Oh, not yet, because I'm still waiting for the list from last week.
And are you going to be constricted to that? You want to go off that list, or do you have...
I want to see something there. I have an idea otherwise, but I have one that, and possible another idea, but I may push that to like next month. But I want to look at the list first, see if something, if there's something that works better, that works, that I don't necessarily need, wouldn't necessarily need you here for. Because some of them, it's better if we're, it's the both of us.
Yeah. No, well said. All right, so tune in. So we'll have our regular Sunday stream. We have the Rune Lords. They're right in the middle of the thick of all kinds of issues. It's a fun campaign. Tuesday night we'll have Greyhawk Awakening. We'll actually no, we won't, because I'll be at business. So so there will be no Greyhawk Awakening next week on Tuesday. We'll figure out another plan because I'm going to be on a business trip. Wednesday will be LMA with Robert, and then the regular streams throughout the rest of the month. Rating J now, Lord Gazumba, our good friend. Thank you to Chandler. Thank you to Tim. Thank you to Robert, my good friends. Great chat tonight. You guys were awesome. Rating with
the nicest.
51, and you are the nicest. I'm the meanest. There's no doubt. That's a really good raid. I love that. Thank you, everyone.